The rain lashed against the windows of the Seabright Inn, a crumbling seaside hotel on the Kent coast that had been quietly housing migrant families for months. On the muted television in the corner, a headline screamed, "1 minute ago, Trump drops final warning on Starmer, migrant hotel crisis erupts in UK." Maggie Turner, the hotel's longtime manager, sighed as she poured tea into a chipped mug. The world outside was shouting, blaming, and boiling over. But inside, room 14's radiator had just failed, and a 7-year-old girl named Layla was shivering beneath a threadbare blanket. Maggie knocked softly before entering. Layla's wide brown eyes darted up, unsure, guarded. Her mother sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, shoulders slumped beneath a scarf that had seen too many winters. "The heater's gone, but I'll sort something," Maggie said gently. She reached into her own bag, pulling out the thick wool sweater her late husband had worn on their honeymoon in Scotland. It still smelled faintly of lavender and sea salt. She draped it around Layla's small shoulders. The girl's face brightened with a timid smile. "Warm," she whispered. Later that evening, Maggie headed to the lobby to fix the news feed that the guests had been complaining about. People wanted answers, explanations, outrage. But as she scrolled past the endless videos of angry speeches and fiery warnings, something on the screen caught her eye, a live broadcast of a protest just outside the hotel. Local residents had gathered with placards to send them back, their breath misting in the cold air. At the front of the crowd stood Callum Reeves, a fisherman Maggie had known since he was a boy. His voice trembled with anger as he shouted about jobs, safety, and outsiders taking advantage. Maggie's stomach knotted. She knew Callum's father had been laid off last month. She also knew Callum had shared his lunch with her when she'd forgotten hers years ago. The anger wasn't all hatred, it was fear. She stepped outside, the wind biting through her coat. The protesters quieted when they saw her. "Callum," she said, voice steady, "do you remember the storm of '98? When your dad's boat was wrecked?" He blinked. "Course I do. Do you remember who pulled you both out of the water?" He frowned. "Alia, the Pakistani lad who worked the docks back then." Maggie nodded. "He wasn't one of us, was he?" But he didn't think twice. The crowd shifted uneasily. Just then, the hotel door creaked open. Layla peeked out, Maggie's sweater swallowing her small frame. Without a word, she stepped into the rain, holding a paper crane she'd folded from a page of a coloring book. She walked up to Callum, placed the crane in his calloused hand, and whispered, "For good luck on your boat." The street went silent except for the distant crash of waves. Callum looked at the delicate crane, his throat working, his anger faltering. By morning, the protest had fizzled. Callum showed up at the hotel with bags of donated clothes and a toolbox. "Figured I'd help with the radiator," he mumbled. Word spread quickly. Locals brought blankets, food, and even toys. The lobby transformed from a tense waiting room into something resembling a community center. Over the next week, children played together on the hotel's worn carpet. A British, Syrian, Sudanese, all chasing the same plastic ball. Maggie watched from behind the reception desk, her chest aching with a strange mixture of sorrow and hope. When Layla handed Maggie another paper crane, she unfolded it to find a message written in shaky English: "Kindness is stronger than warning." Maggie pinned it to the bulletin board beneath the screaming headlines. She smiled, a small, quiet, but unshakable. The world outside would keep shouting. But here, in this little seaside hotel, kindness had spoken louder. Uplifting conclusion: even when headlines divide and leaders warn of chaos, a single act of compassion can ripple through fear like sunlight breaking through a storm. Sometimes, the smallest hands offering nothing more than a paper crane can remind us that our shared humanity is far stronger than any border or broadcast.